Good morning and welcome back to Sunday Storytime here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're continuing our read-through of Star Wars Jedi's Honor, a solitaire adventure starring Luke Skywalker. Now, if this is your first time here, this is a choose-your-own-style adventure that basically I will read through a segment of the story, and when we reach a decision point, we'll turn it over to you, the viewers, to actually make the decision as far as where we're going to go next in the story. So we're going to do that by having you comment down below what choice you think I should make. And then by the end of the week, I will record the next video based on the comments in the video. So for today's episode, we are continuing where we left off. But before we do that, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I do want to make sure that you don't miss an episode. And also, we put out all sorts of tabletop gaming content every week, whether it's board games, role-playing, miniatures, or anything in between. And I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the last time we were here, basically Luke had three choices. He was either going to fight his way into the prison planet of Tol Addo. He was going to sneak aboard a supply shuttle going down to the surface of the planet, or he was going to allow himself to be captured. Now, we had a vote for each of the stowaway or allowing himself to be captured, and since it's a tie, I'll go ahead and I'll break it by saying that we're going to go ahead and we're going to stow aboard the supply shuttle. Reason I'm making that choice is that the supply shuttle was the one that came in first, so we're going to give it to that choice. So, with that out of the way, let's see what happens. Let's stow away, Luke says. We'd be foolish fighting through that net into prison, and I don't want to turn myself in. Alrighty, that means we're heading out to that supply depot the guide was so proud of. The prospector quietly leads the party back towards the rock can and they lift off. Sneaking aboard a supply shuttle turns out to be easier than expected. The traffic at 76095 Poe is so heavy that Gideon lands in a crowded hangar without trouble. Supply barges and shuttles of all sizes rest in haphazard order on a 1,000-acre floor. After they put down the belly ramp, a droid approaches and asks, "What is your cargo?" "TIE parts," Luke answers. "Shop number?" Gideon shakes his head. Didn't give us one. Just said to bring the load over here. The droid pauses. "Procedure must be followed properly. Next time, accept no order without a destination number. Understand?" "Yes," Luke answers. "You are priority number 607. Go to loading dock G79 in 6 hours. We'll confirm the order there." "What do we do in the meantime?" Gideon demands. "Whatever you like," the droid responds. "The Poe Cantina is open at all hours. Don't be late to your dock. You'll lose your priority number." "Sure thing," Gideon responds. "This is too easy," he whispers to Luke. After the droid leaves, they unbuckle their blasters, lock Gideon's scow, and go to the closest dock. A dozen laborers are hand-loading the contents of a small shuttle into an immense barge. Luke approaches the foreman. "They said you needed help." "Who said that?" the foreman snaps, turning to study the hangar floor. "Don't get mad at me," Luke points at a droid resembling the one that greeted him. "Him." "Oh," the foreman answers. "Blasted mechanicals. Always telling you one thing and doing another. Okay, get to work." Luke, Gideon, and Sydney join the laborers shuffling boxes from the shuttle to the barge. R2-D2 wheels himself aboard and parks himself next to a line of other droids. After 20 minutes of work, Luke leads the way deep into the barge and selects a hiding place between two rows of immense crates. 3 hours later, the foreman seals the cargo bay and the barge lifts off. In the dark, the trip to Tol Addo passes slowly, but without incident. Finally, the barge decelerates and lands on the planet. This is the first time in weeks Luke has been in full gravity. His knees feel weak and uncertain. Nevertheless, when the barge doors open, he steps out ahead of Gideon and Sydney. Each of the stowaways tries to simulate stupidity while carrying a box. Then astonished laborers and 2 stormtroopers greet them. "Special delivery for the command center," Luke says. The laborers look at him dumbly, but one trooper eventually asks, "What is it?" Luke shrugs, hoping the miner and Pata behind him are looking equally blank. "They don't want us to know. Who gets it?" Stormtrooper looks across the docking bay. "Give it to the dockmaster." The three of them walk off the loading dock. When R2 follows, the stormtrooper points his blaster rifle at the droid. R2 whistles. "That's part of the package," Luke says. "Why didn't you say so?" The Imperial lets the droid pass. Luke presents the 3 cartons to the dockmaster, then asks, "Where can we wait for a return barge?" Without looking up, the dockmaster points around the corner. "There's a pilot's lounge." "Thanks," Luke says. He leads the way around the corner. Sidney looks about to speak, but the young rebel holds up a hand for silence. Instead of entering the pilot's lounge, he opens a door leading out of the docking bay. It opens into a long, white corridor. He steps through, then signals the others to follow him. They follow the corridor for 2 kilometers before finding a door. Luke palms the opener, his lightsaber in hand. As the door hisses back, the room's ceiling lamp activates automatically. Plas compound crates fill the room top to bottom. "Just storage," Luke says, stepping back into the corridor. "What is that?" Sidney cocks his head, his ears slowly fidget. "What?" Luke and Gideon ask simultaneously. "The whine, coming down the corridor." "You're hearing things," Gideon responds. Luke hesitates. Maybe he hears something too. A mechanical scream, but so faint, he might be imagining it. It might be... "Repulsor motors," Luke finishes, reactivating the door opener. "In here." The sound grows louder at an incredible rate. Gideon, Sidney, and R2 scurry through the door. Luke follows an instant later. Tiny Dot has appeared down the corridor. He closes the door, but uses the butt of his lightsaber to prevent it from closing entirely. An instant later, a black flash zips past. Luke punches the opener and steps out of the room. A black repulsor cart streaks down the corridor, already so distant the driver is barely visible. Backing into the room once again, Luke reports. "It was just a repulsor cart, but it reminded me of something. This is a whole planet. If we don't find out where Erling is, we're never going to get out of here." "Perhaps this will help," Sidney says. He pulls a black uniform from a crate. "An Imperial uniform might keep him from nabbing us so fast," Gideon says. "But how can we use it to get around this hell world?" R2 whistles from the other side of the crates. Luke follows the sound and finds him standing at a vid terminal. He has extended his electronic interface appendage so that it almost touches a computer jack. "R2 may have an answer," Luke says. "Go ahead, see if you can locate Erling Treadway." R2 plugs into the jack. Schematic diagrams flash across vid screens so fast Luke cannot even count them. A minute later, a message appears on the screen. "Information classified. Enter authorization code." Sidney holds the uniform to Luke's shoulders. "You can pass for the Imperial officer. If the R2 unit can find the command center, you can find out where they hold the Erling." "Can't that good-for-nothing machine bypass the authorization?" Gideon demands. "I don't want to get no closer to Sebastian Parnell than we have to." Luke considers both options. R2 can certainly bypass the authorization code, but he has a good chance of alerting the Imperials when he does so. On the other hand, impersonating an Imperial officer may be tricky. If he blows a password or appears ignorant, he stands as good a chance of triggering an alarm as R2 does bypassing the authorization code. Alright, we've reached a decision point. So, what are we going to do? Is Luke going to impersonate an Imperial officer? Or is R2-D2 going to bypass the authorization code? Let me know down in the comments, and come back next week, and we'll continue the story. But in the meantime, don't forget, down below we do have links to our social media on Facebook and Twitter if you'd like to follow us there. In addition, we do have a link to DriveThruRPG. It does help get a little bit back to the channel. And so if you prefer to purchase your role-playing games in PDF form, I highly recommend you check that out. So regardless, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.